That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Here we are for another episode of Trade Talk, folks. Sorry about the lull in postings there. Been busy bee. Owning a house, hard work. Anyway, today we have Marvels, written by Kurt Busiek, with art by the one and only Alex Ross. This is one of the big books. This is one of the books that's like really famous, really powerful, and notable in the history of comics, as it were. And the basic premise to it is, okay, we have just a normal guy living in the Marvel Universe through the big moments of it. He's there from the beginning of the superhero age in the 40s and goes on with it, and it continues for a long time. When was Marvel's originally published? Let me look that up real quick, because I'm really curious. I just saw it today at the comic shop. They did a new printing of this, which is funny. When was Marvel's published? No, just Marvel's. God damn it. This is so annoying. No, I put it Marvel's. Okay, 94. So, this is set between, thank you Wikipedia, 1939 and 1947. Or not 1947, 1974. So it's just following one guy who is a newspaper photographer and eventually a reporter, as he witnesses kind of the events of that shaped the Marvel Universe. So here he is watching like the original Human Torch fighting the Submariner, and you kind of keep going and going, and you see all the events of history that he witnessed. The return of Captain America, the initial attack of the Sentinels with the X-Men. What else we got here? Gotta find it. The coming of the Silver Surfer in Galactus. And the way, God, Alex Ross in Galactus, it's amazing. And then you just keep going and going, and things get kind of crazier and crazier as it continues, until you kind of see just what a dark twist the world takes as this guy witnesses the moment that kind of defines Marvel Comics to this day. The death of Gwen Stacy. And you'll notice when that happens, there's not much book left. It breaks him. And after that, he retires. Takes one last photo with his wife and the local paperboy and kind of says, I'm handing the world off. I can't do it anymore. So, hot take. Hot take alert. You can't really see that if I leave this light on. There we go. Hot take alert. I've got a light for hot takes. Watchmen wishes it was Marvel's. Hot take. I warned you there would be a hot take. Did you get your oven mitts for the hotness of this take? And I fully realize that obviously this came out after Watchmen, but this does a lot of the commentary that Watchmen tries to do, but is actually able to be reverential and appreciative of its source material, as opposed to just shitting on it and making everything dark and ugly. And then Moore, of course, has the gall to complain about that years later. You helped. So yeah. A lot of what Watchmen is about the way that public would the way that the public would react to superheroes in reality, the way that they would see them, the way that they would treat them, the kinds of people that would actually be superheroes. Marvel's takes a lot of those same points, a lot of that view of like, well, the public would hate them and it would be ridiculous and they would be shitty people. Marvel's takes those views and says, if your ass was on the line and you witnessed the things that these heroes do, the lives they save, the things they do for the people, and then you saw someone trashing them, you would be offended. You would be angry. You would be outraged. So that's really what happens here. Marvel's, in a lot of ways, takes you and puts you in the shoes of the average of an average citizen, and it does a lot of really smart things. It doesn't make our main character here, whose name of course escapes me at the moment, Phil something. Damn it! Why can't I ever remember this crap? Do I have it in this plot? Sheldon? No. Oh, Phil Sheldon. Okay. So if you this takes the point of Phil Sheldon and like, it would be one thing if it made Phil Sheldon seem like, a goody two-shoes, like the best possible person in the Marvel Universe, someone who always does the right thing. And it doesn't. To me, the best chapter of this entire series is the one in which Phil Sheldon deals with his bigotry, deals with the Marvel Universe's bigotry to the X-Men. And that is kind of a microcosm of the argument the book is making, because in that section dealing with the X-Men, Phil gets himself wrapped up in the events of everything, gets himself wrapped up in the outrage and the hatred of mutants, because everyone knows mutants are monsters who can't control their powers. Everyone knows mutants are going to replace us unless we fight back. And then Phil comes home and his daughters have been protecting Mutant Girl. And he doesn't know what to do, because at first he's ready to kill her, and then he realizes she's just a little girl. And he just has that moment of the veil lifting, that moment of clarity where he realizes how wrong he was, how wrapped up in everything he was, how foolish he was to think that way. So it's that really, really important distinction there, where it's not that he's like an idiot. It's not that he's the best person ever. It's that he doesn't have he doesn't have the ability to know what he doesn't know. They were evil, the mutants. They wanted to kill us all. Everybody knew that. Nick Cosgrove and Arthur Lindstrom out there with their guns, they were friends of ours. We played bridge with them. But I knew they'd burn this house down and us in it if they knew we were sheltering a mutant. They were that scared. I was that scared. But there was something in her eyes, and its eyes, and I couldn't help but thinking of the liberation of Auschwitz and the look in their eyes. And, dear God, Doris, she's just a little girl. I didn't know what to do. I needed more information, something that would help me make up my mind, blah, blah, blah. So then he just goes try to find a way to help her. So, like, that moment is his character turn, because after that, you have stuff like the near apocalypse with the coming of Galactus, and just goddamn Alex Ross. You have, like, the near apocalypse with the coming of Galactus, and the Fantastic Four are able to stop it and all that stuff. And yet, afterward, everyone is so frightened. He talks about how he has to walk home from the city. He just walks out of his job, stops caring about, reporting on the news, because this might be the end and it can't be that important. So he just decides to walk home. And he realizes how scared everyone was, how awful everyone felt, how powerless everyone felt. And then, luckily, Fantastic Four saved the day. And then it was quiet. No one around. They were all inside, or gone. Was this what it was going to be like? Silence and emptiness forever? And then it ended. Repeat, there is no further cause for alarm. The creature called Galactus has vanished. We're not quite sure what happened, but our NTN news cameras have captured the series of startling images. We'll show you them for you now. Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, held up a small device which we see pictured here, and it seemed to cause the giant creature great concern. After a moment, Richards gave the giant the device. They played the tapes over and over. Nobody really knew what was happening, but we knew what it meant. The sense of relief was immeasurable. We knew the whole world knew that we were on the brink of complete and utter destruction. And what's more, we knew it was the Fantastic Four who saved us all. You would have expected our gratitude to last forever. You would have expected us to canonize the Fantastic Four, to raise statues in their honor, name bridges and mountains after them, and invite them to dinner at the White House. At least I would have expected it. Silly me. Publisher calls Galactus hoax, from the Daily Bugle. Instead of ticker tape parades, we got doubts, accusations, innuendo. Why hadn't they acted sooner? Could they prove the world was in danger? Reports came in of morose, surly thing wandering the back alleys of the city, frightening people. And who could blame him? Big thanks he got. The whole city seemed embarrassed somehow, ashamed of their terror, and now that it had passed, they were all still alive, and they were taking it out on the Marvels, denying what had happened, and blaming the Marvels for the fear they'd felt. Nice town, huh? I really like this moment of all these people bickering around. Did you hear? Mutants all the time with those. Have to bother us anyway? Can't they just keep out to put those X-Men in jail and as a lesson to, you people! What do you need? The world to actually end? Are you so busy digging for garbage you can't even admit to yourselves that you're grateful? Look up, why don't you? Look up for once in your lives. I love that moment because that's his anger at himself projected onto them, projected onto people for being ungrateful, for being hateful of the Marvels, the people that have saved everyone. And so in a lot of ways, this is that commentary of like, what if superheroes were real? What would it be like? How would people actually treat them? And this says, yes, people would treat them like garbage, but if they actually did what we see them do in the comics, they would be unequivocally wrong for it. And that's really great. And so the last book of the series deals with Sheldon trying to find a way to clear Spider-Man for the murder of Captain Stacy. But you get to the infamous moment of seeing Gwen Stacy die. And then he just can't bring himself to do anything with the world anymore. He can't bring himself to engage with the Marvels or try to protect them from the people because he saw the time that they failed. And it's traumatic for him because he's like, he was so ready to look up to them and fight for them and say that they're the best thing ever and that we shouldn't question them. And then he sees the moment where they've failed. And of course, he doesn't even know the context of how important Gwen Stacy is to Peter Parker. And so it just breaks your heart. And that moment really, really hits for me. That he can't, for the life of him, he cannot look at the Marvels the same way. That, yes, people are wrong for being so shitty to the Marvels when they've only done the right thing. But the one time he sees one of them fail, that righteous indignation fades, and he can't deal with the world the same way anymore. And he has to just remove himself from it. That one's really, really on point. Really, really interesting stuff. So yeah, hot take, this is the book Watchmen wished it could be. Or probably not. Alan Moore doesn't wish he could be anything besides Alan Moore. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this was really, really on point. Really, really solid work. I gush about Alex Ross, but man, Alex Ross, y'all, the stuff he does in here is just so good. I can't... The fact that Alex Ross does anything besides covers is a gift to everyone. Anything Alex Ross has spent the time to work on and do the internal art for is just absolutely amazing. And so you can tell why he only goes for these really, really high-profile moments in comics. He does some great stuff. There's some interesting behind-the-scenes action you get here. So apparently he made a Galactus... Oh, come on, there we go. He made a Galactus hat or mask or whatever to get the angles on the forks, right? Shit like that. That's really cool. Just all kinds of neat ass shit in there. Like got a bunch of models and stuff. So for this image of Captain America, you got this guy to model. Or I'm not even sure who that is. It's really neat. Just fantastic stuff. Did a really, really great job. Really, really glad I read this. This has been one of those things, like, I'd known about it for a while, but I didn't really ever feel prepared to read. And it's interesting for me because I'm not a Marvel guy. I talk about that all the time. So, like, all these moments are these, like, iconic moments from the Marvel Universe that I'm aware of, but I've never actually read myself. I've never read the original, so to see them kind of fresh from the perspective of someone who was there is a really, really interesting insight to it, and contextualizes them in a really interesting way, and I really like that about it. So yeah, good ass book. I highly recommend. Like I said, I just was at the comic shop today, and I think they're doing a new printing of this, so that's really cool. Hopefully, one with a slightly less confusing cover, because I keep like not being sure how to pick it up, because I'm mainly just looking at Spider-Man, so I want to pick it up like this, and then I look at the title, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this way. So that's funny. Anyway, really great stuff. How can you not love Alex Ross? Best drawing of the Silver Surfer ever. I love you, Mike Allred, but just come on. It's worth it for Alex Ross alone, even if the writing sucked, and the writing certainly does not suck. So, take that how you will. Alright, everyone, that's going to do it for this episode of Trade Talk. See ya.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.